care where you start. Like I had this kid come and visit me a while back, and he had never left his home state. And I think he was 19, and he was overprotected and oversheltered, and he was a smart kid, and so of course he also thought that the world really hadn't appreciated his gifts, which is a very common feeling for smart kids who aren't getting anywhere, right? They get really angry about that. And then he decided that he was going to move out of his house, and he took a job as a dishwasher. And he said he tried to do a good job as a dishwasher. It's like, good, that's some humility. It's just a dishwashing job. But you can be a good dishwasher, and then the restaurant runs better, and then it's kind of fun. As long as the people you're working with are half decent, you can make good social relationships, and then you can learn to be social, which was happening to him. And then maybe they let you be a short order cook, and you got a bit of a clue, and then you have a bit of money, and you have a little independence, and it's a lot better than being at home and being bitter and resentful and immature. It's just a dishwashing job. Well, that's the wrong way of thinking about it. It's like, it's the first door that's open to you. And then he came up to Toronto. He'd never been out of his home state, so it was a big deal for him to come to another city. And when he first came to talk to me, it was outside of one of my lectures. He couldn't even speak. He was so nervous because he had pretty high levels of social anxiety. So he was tongue-tied. And I invited him to come over to my house to talk to him because I knew there was something up with him. And he told me this story, and I thought, well, that's the beginnings of a heroic journey. He was able to humble himself enough so that, if you're low, if you're in a low place, it's a low door that's going to open. And you might think, I'm too high to crawl through that low door. Carl Jung said, modern people don't see God because they don't look low enough. I really like that idea. But that's it. If you're in a low place, the opportunity that presents itself to you is going to be low. And it's going to be very tempting to you because you're arrogant and resentful to say, well, that's not good enough for me. It's like, well, do you have an alternative? If you don't have an alternative, then an inch up is up, and it's the right trajectory, and so that's humility. It's like, you're low. You take what's given to you, and you see if you can make it work. And the thing is, that works way faster than people think. Even because I worked as a dishwasher when I was a kid, for a year or so. And it was really hard to begin with because I didn't know what I was doing. And the German chef, who was kind of a tough guy, just let me flounder around for 2 weeks to see if I would quit. So I was there till like 3 a.m. and I was 13, I think. I couldn't wash all these damn dishes. I thought it was impossible. I told my dad at one point, I said, I don't know if I can do this. It's like I'm working as hard as I can and they keep piling up, but I didn't stop. And then the German cook, who had been treating me pretty harshly, one day he said, okay, I'll show you how to do this. And then he showed me how to organize the dishes and everything. And it was like, that was no problem. I could do it in like 10% of the time. So then I cleaned up the rest of the kitchen. I had a good time mucking about with the chefs, and we played around a lot back there. And I ended up working as a short order cook, and I learned to cook and all of that. And that was a good part of my adolescence. But the thing is that those trivial jobs, it's the conception of their triviality that makes them trivial. They're not trivial, not if you do them right. And if you're around people who have any sense, sensible people are always looking around for other people who can do things right. And if they see you trying to do things right, the probability that they'll open a door for you is virtually 100%, because it's kind of rare, So they're going to be skeptical to begin with, to see you got to prove your mettle, let's say. But as soon as you do, they'll think, okay, well, we'll give this kid a little bit more opportunity and see what happens. And, to not think that's how the world works is to be extraordinarily cynical, because that is how it works in a functioning society.
Yeah, I work with businesses all the time, and there is anybody that is just above normal competency in anything, anybody that's going to try, anybody that's going to put effort in, they love those people. And those people are going to do well, and you're absolutely right that doors are absolutely going to open for them if they do what they're trying to do to the best of their ability and doing a competent job at it.
Well, the other thing that's interesting is what happens to people who aren't trying, because what happens to them is like they're in a place where there's 1,000 doors in front of them that are invisible. They don't know the doors are there, and they could either be opened or closed. And so if they're one of these people who is going above and beyond the call of duty, unless the organization is entirely corrupt, right? And that happens sometimes. Then there are people who are watching, and they'll start to open these invisible doors. And then all of a sudden the person has opportunities in front of them. And they don't even know why some of the time, right? Because someone said, gave a positive word to someone else and said, well, you could take a look at this kid. And so these doors open. And then the people who are in there grudgingly and bitterly, it's like people watch that, and they're the people who are the gatekeepers, and they just close the doors. And then the person looks up, and there's nothing in front of them. There's no open doors at all, and then they curse God, for making such a miserable cosmos. It's like, no, you just don't understand what happened. It's like the fruits of your bitterness your bitterness manifested fruit. You don't even know it. You've delimited your options in a terrible way, and you've closed. You're walking between cliff walls, and they're getting closer and closer and closer together, and then you'll be stuck, and you'll think, how the hell did this happen? And it happened because you didn't avail yourself of the opportunities that presented themselves to you. So, that's horrible, but that's how it is.
I